Okay, welcome to another technical technician video from Diag Nation. This video, pretty much, I'm gonna call this a part two cold diagnosis misfire, where we have that that window of opportunity, which is small, that we get that misfire right off a cold start when the vehicle has sat for about 10 hours and everything's cooled down to ambient temperature, and we have a window of opportunity to see what could be causing our misfire, the cause and effect. Um, Injectors leaking down, head gasket where the coolant has dripped into the cylinder, and affected the cylinder wall, the compression, maybe a piece of hard carbon, something along the lines. But basically, we have that opportunity to check it out. And in this case, I'm on 6 channels, so I have six. Channel A is relative compression. Channel B is the intake vacuum. Channel C is the crankcase, that is green. Channel D, pink, is the tailpipe. I believe it's pink. We'll see once I bring it into the picture. Channel E, purple, is an in-cylinder transducer in cylinder 1. It got a little thick. Sometimes my WPS has an issue where sometimes it shows up a little thick. It's not, I don't believe it's a filtering issue, but nonetheless, we'll make the best of it. And channel orange is a transducer on the radiator cap. It is a pulse sensor. It's what we call a PPS delta sensor, like the first 6. And this one's from Bulgaria. It's to me, it's just the most sensitive one I have. It is super sensitive. That's why I put it on the radiator, just to see if I could get a pulse. A lot of times with head gasket diagnosis, those things are so sneaky and subtle that they never seem to have the same magnitude each time you diagnose one. So that's why I'm kind of taking a look at that, to see if possibly a head gasket could be causing our cold misfire. But nonetheless, let me go to get things going here and explain this situation. When I set everything up on the scope, I disconnected what I thought was all 4 injectors. Evidently, I didn't get the number 4 injector disconnected all the way. It put some fuel into the cylinder when I thought I was totally cranking, and I had some combustion. That you can see over here. It's kind of messy, but I'll explain that. That may work to our advantage. That may be considered serendipitous, because now we actually have something that has taken place, which in essence we're trying to diagnose. So as you can look at your screen right there, I'll bring the transducer back up. It's a little thick on the bottom. Nonetheless, you can recognize that that is in cylinder 1. So I'll keep that so we have clarity. Let's take a look at a fire cycle, and we can obviously see something pretty noticeable here. That is cylinder 4. Okay, purple is 1. Our firing order being 1, 3, 4, 2. That's the injector that I'm kind of hypothesizing that a little too much fuel got in there and might have washed some of the oil off the cylinder wall and affected the compression, because we have a big delta there. That's a big, that sticks out like a sore thumb, that anomaly. As we can see, if we ever, the gist of this video is just we're looking for stuff like that. That doesn't always act like that all the time. Something could expand, something could seal up, and we have this opportunity right now that most likely that could cause a misfire if this vehicle started and ran for 20, 30 seconds. But nonetheless, we've caught that there. So we know we have compression that's not good in cylinder 4. But we have to say why. Where did the compression go? First thing I'll look at is the vacuum pulls. That's red. That I will stretch, and I will look at. We would look at that. We bring that down and filter and stretch. That's basically the map sensor, DC coupled to it, and we'll filter. And we'd have to say that those vacuum pulls, most likely, I'm saying that's an effect of the crankshaft sped up here, and then it slowed down here. Once it hit that less than ideal compression, the crank will spin faster, then it will hit more resistance. The vacuum pulls, to me, I wouldn't go in the direction, if I were diagnosing, I wouldn't go in the direction of a valve issue. This car probably needs a valve adjustment. I could probably make it better. I'll probably do that in another video. I should one day just rip the valve cover off and get the car cold and get in there with the filler gauges and make a really good valve adjustment. I probably could bring this thing right here back to as we see here, we see a little difference when I run the cursors down. I'm strictly looking at the vacuum pulls. Obviously, we're a little gap there. That's a transfer point. That's an overlap issue. That's a little deep. Those are overlap issues, and I'm sure that a valve adjustment could take care of that. Um, or, but nonetheless, we have to realize the fact that a crank sensor accelerating will, whatever cylinder is on its intake will probably get a longer pull because that crank is spinning just that much faster. That would be this pull here, which looks a little longer, not a whole. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. But anyway, getting away from the vacuum pulls, I want to concentrate on the crankcase because that's where like a bottom sealing issue would show up. So take a look at, we see the relative. I'm going to put the relative out of the picture just for clarity. The black is the tailpipe, and we can see a little bit of an anomaly there. I won't go real analyzing that. I want to just take a look at the crankcase, because that's a really important thing to make a diagnostic decision, because that could mean a lot to the diagnosis. You see when I run the cursors on the green, we got this guy here. You can probably see that. Let me stretch it a little bit more so you'll be able to see that. Okay, on this end. Let me get the purple completely out of there. Okay, channels. We can't see. Okay, I want to concentrate just on the crankcase. All right. We can see that little dip right there, and on the top end of the green, we can see we're a little shallow here. We're a little below, and we're a little below the line here. This transducer goes negative on vacuum and positive on pressure. Bear in mind, I'm not saying with any certainty that's the effect of a bottom sealing issue, or I should say a side sealing issue with the rings, but I'm definitely think there's a parallel there. So just something to bear in mind. I haven't seen enough crankcase waveforms. I've seen them in other people's case studies where I know they had an issue, and you can definitely see an anomaly in the crankcase pulls. So nonetheless, that's just something to ponder. If we were diagnosing, if we had this situation and we had a cold misfire, we saw something. Obviously, we see the relative compression anomaly there, so something is causing that. We keep going in the direction of where that compression go. We do have the head on channel orange. It's just the head. It's just the pressure transducer in the radiator, and in the fire cycle, I can see we're anomaly free. So if this misfire was caused by a head gasket compromise, we may see a rise in orange. We don't. Just something to bear in mind. I believe these pulls are the impeller of the water pump just pulsing around. Nonetheless, we don't see anything obvious where the orange channel jumped up and down, where the cooling system got a shot of compression pressure as indicative of a head gasket issue. So let's go back to here, and one thing I want to bring the compression tower back because I want to measure it and show you something here. The top of the tower, as we can see, this is right here. I'll run the cursor. That's a good cylinder. Okay, that's about 200 psi. Okay, obviously we can definitely see the relative compression was good in that channel on the blue. I did put the WPS in this cylinder in another capture, which I'll show you. So let's go to another capture. This was done on the 16th. We go here. And the 16th. Okay. Cold plunging misfire in cylinder 1. Okay. I did go in cylinder 4, and I'll show you what I did. So remember that top of our tower is about 200 psi on a good cylinder. Nope, that's wrong. That's not right. Okay. 16th. In cylinder 4. Okay, this is in cylinder 4, and I did switch the transducer on the crankcase to the intake manifold. So I basically have the map sensor and another transducer on the intake, just to see, because I wanted to get a better look at the intake, other than looking at it with the map sensor, because the signals look a little different. So obviously, here we go. We're back at the cranking situation. I did resolve that problem with the injector. I made sure the cylinder is complete, the car is cranking with no fuel getting into the engine. Okay, and you can see our blue is getting a little better. It's probably starting to build up some compression. let's look at where it, on the top of its tower, it's about 168, about 168 opposed to about 200 on a good cylinder. Obviously you can see it less here. I'll give it some vertical zoom and we'll pull that down, and obviously you can still see in the relative compression we're short here, normal, a little short here, and back to our short guy here. Normally, green are the vacuum pulls, and because I did switch that transducer to the intake, and they are most likely affected by the crankshaft accelerating, and also the fact that I'm in dire need of a valve adjustment. So as you can see, this is the situation with the low cylinder on 4, because I'm hypothesizing that too much fuel got in there and it might have scrubbed the cylinder wall of its oil film and affecting compression. A day later, on the 17th, I wanted to do another, just for my own self-satisfaction, I wanted to do another capture. I took a 4-channel scope, and we'll see some differences. This is right off the bat. On the 17th, okay, let me go to this. I'll call this normal. Okay, now I'm on 4 channels. My hook is a little different. I am not in cylinder with anything. I'm triggered off the number 1. I do have spark on the 1. I have no fuel going into this engine, and this is after we can see that our compression's back to normal. Because I think if the mechanical was still with me, we would probably, we would see that anomaly that we saw, and if we're not seeing it right there. Let me filter that, and you could see that we're a lot better. Now, burgundy is the crankcase. I took the liberty to check that out and to see how we're affected, how a good relative compression and a good crankcase are there's definitely a relationship there. I stretch it, let me go and get this guy out of here. I will bring the cursors. Oh boy, I keep hitting the touchpad. My bad. Oh wait. Oh no. Okay. Oh boy. Guess we didn't anticipate that coming. The 17th. Okay. Oh, you know what I got? Let me see what I got here. Boy, you never know. So unpredictable. I may have the sample patterns. That looks like pico. Yeah, that's the crank sensor. That's the sample deal, which I don't want. Obviously, that's muddy in the waters. I don't have the scope hooked up. Let's get back to where I was. Date modified, the 17th. Normal. Okay. I wonder if I'm sure that's happened to other Pico users. Yeah, you get the sample pattern, but nonetheless, we're moving on. Okay, we got the relative compression. We'll stretch it and see. This is the day after, which I just made sure our relative compression looks a lot better. We don't have that anomaly. No fuel got into that cylinder. Everything cranking pretty good. Look at our crankcase again. I want to get that and take a look at that. Right here, we don't have that overextension, or I guess they call that anomaly like we did in the other capture. We're very even, top to bottom. Our pulls are even. I deem this a good capture. Our vacuum pulls are even. We can see a fire cycle there. That's ignition 1 trigger. I'll stretch red. Probably is not perfect, in need of a valve adjustment, but nonetheless, this is the stuff I wanted to. Just this video is that what can we see in that first 30 seconds of cranking when we're hooked up with a multi-channel scope, looking at various things. In the other 6 channels capture, you saw the head gasket, you saw the relationship of low compression in one of the cylinders, and what you have to keep diagnosing as to what caused that, and keep tunneling in on the smoking gun as to what is causing the misfire. Anyway, this is Technical Technician signing off. Hope you enjoyed the video, and take care.